It is beauty, it is grace, it is virgin sacrifice. Today I'm telling you about the ballet that started a riot at its premiere in Paris of 1913. So, obviously this takes place in France in the early 1910s, and Russian culture was quite popular. The ballet was popular, Russian music was popular. France, for the most part, really enjoyed their culture. There were some dissenters to Russia's popularity, but Russian culture was quite successful, and so was the ballet company, the Ballet Russes, run primarily by Russians. It was run by Sergei Diaghilev, and he featured a lot of music by Igor Stravinsky. No big deal, might have heard of him if you're a music person. And Stravinsky had created the Firebird Ballet and Petrushka, and they were super popular and famous. And Diaghilev was also banking on his star dancer, Vasiliev Nijinsky, to come up with some good ballets for him. So Nijinsky's prior work and his first work had been Afternoon of a Faun, which is I guess I can see where Stravinsky's comment that his first impression that Nijinsky was immature comes from. So the three got to work on the new ballet, or more specifically, Stravinsky got to work on the new ballet first, because you can't choreograph anything when there's no music. So the idea was first thought up of in 1910 by Stravinsky. He started work on it in the winter of 1910 and into the spring of 1911. Then he put off work for the summer to enjoy Paris and all the festivals that were going on, and returned back to it in the fall. He finished the original manuscript in March of 1912, and then he finished revisions of that in April of 1912. When he played it first for Pierre Monteau, the company conductor, Monteau's reaction was just to get up and walk out of the room. He didn't want to do this. Monteau actually had to be talked into doing this, and alas, he ended up agreeing to. And then came the choreography, and Nijinsky is a, eclectic dude. And so, because the music was already strange, and Nijinsky is strange, the choreography ended up being weird. All the dancers shuffle around the stage, turned in, they stomp on it in time with the music. And then, of course, there's the virgin sacrifice plot, which we'll get to. And the dancers were not a fan of this piece. They pushed back against Nijinsky, were not happy with the choreography he was giving them, and it caused a lot of tensions between them and the ballet master and Nijinsky. It didn't help that production was already behind schedule. It had to be pushed back from its original premiere date. And so what is the plot of this dang thing anyway? The plot's pretty simple. It's just a tribe of pagan Russians celebrating the spring coming and then sacrificing a virgin by having her dance herself to death to ensure the survival of the tribe for another year. Yeah, and they went hard with this. They did research, they talked to archaeologists and folklorists, and Stravinsky used a book of old folk music for inspiration for his music. And word got out about the ballet. There was a lot of buzz in Paris about this, and so when it came time for the premiere, the theater was packed. There was standing room only, people were in the hallways and stairways. They all really wanted to see this new ballet put on by the dude who made the Firebird and Petrushka, and then choreographed by that dude. The evening started off with Les Sylphides and a couple other very popular, pretty typical ballets. And then the introductory music. The curtain was still down at this point. The introductory music was playing when the catcall started. And then all hell broke loose when the curtain did lift. As Stravinsky put it later, and Stravinsky was not a huge fan of the choreography, it should be noted. He doesn't even correctly describe the stage that was on scene. The curtain opened on the group of knock-kneed and long-haired Lolitas jumping up and down. Which, I mean, that does happen. It's not in the beginning. Clearly, this was not the beautiful Russian ballet that the French audience wanted. And so, people went crazy, and then people were trying to shush the people that went crazy or argue with them about how this was actually good. And it just built up into a lot of chaos and frenzy, and eventually, even the dancers couldn't hear the orchestra, and the orchestra was directly in front of them. Nijinsky and the ballet master are said to have even had to shout the counts to the dancers so that they could continue the performance. Though it's not clear if it's because they couldn't hear the orchestra, because sometimes stuff happens and dancers usually are able to keep dancing on their own, or if it's because the counts were just so damn confusing. Stravinsky is even rumored of essentially just shouting "screw it" and storming out of the crowd. And there are also rumors that the police were called and up to 40 people were arrested. And despite the riot the ballet caused, it was not a total loss. It actually got mixed reviews. Some people said that it was barbaric, but others saw it as genius. When the ballet somehow managed to finish the performance, which is... don't know how. There was an ovation. It had to fight over the noise of the current riot going on, but there was an ovation. Some people really did like it and see it as this new genius production. So the show continued with its scheduled run of 5 more performances in Paris and then 4 in London, and then it closed. And Nijinsky, a year or 2 later, got kicked out of the Ballet Russes for, I'm just gonna sum it up as, girl problems. When he was on his own, he tried to restage it, but no one cared to remember how the piece went, and so it got lost to time. Other choreographers did come along and they put their own choreography to the music, but the original was gone. However, the music became wildly popular afterwards. It got introduced as a concert piece, and it has been a staple in concert halls ever since, and it is now considered one of the most influential works of the 20th century. It's a shame, though, that the original was lost. Or was it? In the 1980s, the Joffrey Ballet decided to pour years into researching prompt books and photographs and sketches. They also asked survivors of the debut what happened on stage, and they were able to fully recreate the ballet. Costumes, set, choreography, everything. And you can even see it here on YouTube. The original 1987 version run of the restaging of the ballet is viewable here, and I'll put it down in the description. You should go see it for yourself. As for my thoughts on it, I absolutely love this ballet. It is mesmerizing, and you cannot look away from it. And when I saw it, I could not stop thinking about it for like a week. And I've been super excited to make this video ever since. Like, I saw it and I was like, I need to talk about this. So I suggest you go watch it, form your own opinions on it. You don't have to like it, but I'm sure it would be hard to deny that it's memorable. And yeah, so that's the story of the ballet that started a riot. There have been many versions since, some with Aboriginal elements, some with Native American elements, and even one that's been labeled as Soviet propaganda. But the original is really something else. And that's all I really have to talk about today, so yep, see ya.